Hey everyone, I'm Eric with the Hard Drum Repair here, and today we are going to be doing a little demonstration on the M30T and all of the most of the basic features of the drone, just so we can teach you how to use it better and hopefully learn something. So we'll start off with the main screen. So this is going to be the screen that comes up when you power the aircraft on. You can see at the top right corner that it actually has a picture of the M30T itself. That shows you that it's actually connected. If it's not, it would show the controller right there. Like I said, this is your main screen when you power the aircraft on. So things you have here are top left, you have this max altitude. So when you click on that, it will bring up your geozone maps so we can actually see what's around us. And then it also bring up your FlySafe database. If you need, you can check for updates from there and do the updates right there. We'll head on out back. Other than that, you have your manual flight routes right below that, where you can create autonomous missions for surveying and other things of that nature. Next to that, you have your album. So self-explanatory, it will show you what you have in your album. Moving on from there, if you go to the top right corner, you're going to have this caution. You can click on that. It's going to show you all the health management systems. So you can see our vision positioning is at a caution, yellow. If you click on it, it'll tell you exactly what's wrong with the aircraft. So right now we're just having low ambient light, telling us that to fly with caution because our sensors may be deteriorated. So also in this section here, if you go to the left, you have your firmware section. You can click on that. It'll tell you if you need a firmware update for the aircraft or the controller. You can do those right there as long as you have a Wi-Fi connection. We'll head on back out. If you're ready to start up the aircraft, you will go into the Enter Camera View. From there, this is going to be your main pre-flight check. These are main settings that you can control and change from here. They can also be changed later in the settings as well. So you're going to have, starting on the left side, your return to home altitude. You can change that by tens or hundreds, or you can just simply click on it and put an altitude from there. Below that, you have max altitude, same thing. We don't want to fly any higher than 400 feet, so we have ours set just below that. Next, you have the home point. So the home point can be sent to the aircraft or the controller itself using the GPS signal. This is for if you decide to change your home point location where you want to return the aircraft to. You can change it to either of those locations. Below that, you have your custom warning, battery warning, presets to 10 and 15%. You can change those. We probably recommend maybe 15 and 20, just to give you a little bit more space so you're not crashing your drone or struggling to get back in time. And then here at the bottom, you have your obstacle avoidance. You can keep it to brake or you can set it to off. It's going to give you this warning. And you can hit disable, it'll turn them all off. If you turn it back on to brake, you can see they all turn back on. And then you can control the brake and the alert settings right there on the right with the scroll bars. So in the alert area, it's going to start giving you beeping warnings, as well as on your little compass, it'll show yellow for the alert area. Red will be the brake area. You can change those values as well. Moving on, we'll go across the top now. So we're in normal mode. Normal mode, the aircraft's going to fly up roughly 25 miles an hour, give or take, depending on the wind. And then you have your battery percentages with your voltages there, and then the aircraft controller as well. And then it is controller A. Moving down onto the right side, you have your signal loss action. I recommend that we keep it to return home. That way, if you do lose signal, the aircraft will automatically return to home. You don't have to worry about the other settings being hover or land. Hover, you have to go establish connection. And then land, obviously, you don't know what you're always landing on. Below that, you have a max flight distance, so you can control how far away you want the aircraft to go from you. So right now, it's a preset of 2598 feet. But we can simply turn that off. It's personal preference. Control stick mode 2 is going to be your standard mode for flying aircraft. So on your left stick, you're going to go up for elevation and down, and left and right will be for your yaw. On the right stick, up and down will be forward and backwards, and then left and right will be side step left, side step right. All right, if everything looks good to you, you can just exit out of the screen at the top right. And now you're going to be in this screen, which is your FPV screen. It has the heads-up display, so all of your telemetry is going to be mostly in the center of the screen. On the right side of that, you have your altitude and your vertical speed. On the left side, you're going to have your speed in miles per hour, and then your wind speed. And then if it is registering wind speed, it will also show an arrow with direction. And then your middle being your attitude indicator. Okay, so on this main screen, we'll go over what's on the top here first. So that little red with the 0 is going to be our satellite connection. That'll just tell us how many satellites we are connected to at any given time. Moving to the right, you have RC. That's going to be your RC strength. So it's pretty simple, just like any other phone. You're going to have the 3 bars. 2 bars will go yellow, 1 bar will go red. So if you do see that you are losing signal, first step, make sure your antennas are out and displayed in a correct fashion. Big misconception with antennas, people like to go like this and they think it broadcasts from the tips. It actually does not. It broadcasts from the sides. So 1, make sure the antennas are out, and 2, make sure they are facing in the direction of your aircraft. Will help you with that transmission signal. So we'll go ahead and just put them down for training purposes. Moving on from that, you have the aircraft batteries. They are both at 85%, which is good. And then also on this screen, you can see at the bottom left, we have our map view. So again, we can come into here. This is where we can section off grids, or we can check our waypoints, or even add waypoints from here. So it's hard to see, but if you see the center crosshairs are black, you have this L1, that's the top option on the bottom left here. You can hit that, and it will mark a waypoint for you. So you can mark that as your home point on this little screen that popped up. You can edit it. You can change the colors, name it whatever you want, and it also has a grid coordinate for you. To share this location with someone, you can click on this square with the arrow in it. It'll bring up a QR code. Now, if you scan this QR code with your phone, it will bring up the coordinates in Google Maps. So you have to have Google Maps downloaded. And then from there, you can share the location through Messenger or whatever else you see fit. All right, we will go back to our FPV camera. From here, we want to actually use the capabilities of this aircraft. So we're going to go into our gimbal camera down at the bottom right-hand corner. So now this is going to be what is actually the payload on this aircraft. So first things first, at the top middle, you see wide 1 times. So that's telling us that we're in our wide camera, and it's obviously 1 times zoom. This green box that's going to be in the center here is our zoom camera. So in wide camera, we can zoom in or out, and it'll change the size of that square in the middle. And it'll also tell you the times that it is zoomed to. Now with using our scroll bars up here, the left side is going to be your vertical, and the right side is going to be your horizontal. So now we can actually hit L2 in this bottom left-hand corner and go to the zoom camera, and it's going to jump to that square. So now you can see we're in that zoom camera. At the top it says zoom times 10. And from here, we can freely zoom in and out. Using the scroll bar down here, or we can use this R1, R2, plus and minus, which go a little faster than your scroll bar. Alright, and from here we will go up to the left side. There's going to be this little laser, looks like it's exploding. That is going to be your rangefinder. So we do have to be connected to enough satellites to get an accurate reading on this. As you can see, the crosshairs turn red, and it says range NA. So we don't have enough satellites to get an approximate distance, but that will display right there, as well as on the bottom left-hand side, above your maps, you will see it'll give you an ASL above sea level for that location, as well as the grid coordinates will pop up too. So if we go to L1 at the bottom left-hand corner, it says IR. We will jump to our IR thermal camera. All right, so now that we are in our IR camera, it will default to ×2 zoom. On the screen here on the right side, it's going to have infrared and it says plus or minus. So that is going to be zoom for the IR. And it goes in increments of 2, 5, 10, and 20. Although to note, IR is not the best when zoomed. Your picture can get very pixelated, so we recommend staying in a 2x zoom. All right, but as you can see, if you just touch on the screen anywhere, you can get a pinpoint location of heat readings, or if you drag your finger and make a box, you can get high and lows for that area. So if you just want to search a certain area, you can get high and lows in that area. All right, at the top here, you have this little scale that shows 61 to 133. So that's going to be constantly reading temperatures of what's on the screen and adjusting for what it sees. You can just click on that scale, and this is how you're going to change your palettes. So you can change from white hot, black hot, tint, etc. All your irons and rainbows, whatever you are most comfortable with, you can use. And right here at the top, there's this little thermostat. If we touch on that, we enable it, turn it on with the little toggle. Well, now we can adjust our ranges either on this scroll, or we can do the plus or minuses for the high end or the low end. And then that way we can calibrate what temperatures we're actually looking for. So see, we're not reading anything above 94 and below 61. And then if you want to go back and switch, you have to actually turn it off and then go back to the palettes. Because if you don't, I will show you that everything defaults to rainbow. It's a glitch in the system that we found, and they haven't fixed it yet. So you have to go back in, toggle it off, and then switch palettes from there. Right next to that scale, you have mode, and it shows -4 to 302. You can click it. It'll go to the next mode. It'll be 32 to 932, so higher ranges. This is going to be more for public safety that want fire readings, temperatures of fires, things of that nature. So anyone else who's using it is probably going to stay in the -4 to 302 range. Next to that, you have SBS. So this is going to be your side-by-side view, which is very beneficial in personnel search and rescue, or even our customers who do deer recovery. So on your right side, you're going to have your zoom camera, and on your left, you're going to have your IR camera. If you zoom, your zoom camera is going to change while your IR is staying at 2x zoom and maintaining that big picture situational awareness. So this is good if you are doing Overwatch, you are looking at a house or whatever it may be. You can see a lot of things on your IR camera. You can see little heat signatures going each way. And on your zoom camera, you can zoom in and identify what that actual target is. There's this option right here that is next to what looks to be a memory card, and it's a little square with the 2 diamonds in it. You can click that. It's going to say link zoom enabled. So now when we zoom, our zoom camera is going to zoom, but then our IR camera is going to jump on those same increments, the 2, 5, 10, and 20. So you can have them both zoom in. This is one of those things that's going to be personal preference. So if you want it enabled or not, it's up to you. We'll go ahead and turn that side by side off. Another thing that is very beneficial is this right corner here where it says CWZI. So if you click on that, we're going to see it's going to say current view, wide angle, zoom, and infrared. So this is how you are saving your photos and or videos. So you have to note with this that if you do all of them, it's going to be taking up more storage in your SD card due to having more files. So if you want to save storage and get the most use out of your memory card, go ahead and turn it to current view or current view with infrared if you just want a specific camera to take those photos. Moving on, we'll go to our camera settings. So it's going to be on this right side, these little 3 lines with the little dials on them. Now these are only going to be able to be changed in whatever mode you are in. So if we're in photo mode, we're only going to be able to change photo settings. Vice versa, if we're in video, then we're only going to be able to change video settings. You can do that here, and then the three dots, and you have all these fancy features: timestamp, night scene mode, ultra high resolution infrared image. You can put grids on it. Sunburn protection enabled, so that way when you look at the sun, the thermal lens will actually shutter and close it off so it doesn't burn out that lens. Then you have to actually switch to your video settings. Once you switch into the video settings, hit those three lines again, and now you can see that we are in the video camera settings. You're going to have all the same settings, so you can change all those features. Now for taking photos and videos, you can do it on the screen right here, that big button, or you can hit the buttons actually on the controller. On your left hand side here is going to be your record button. On the right hand side here is going to be your photo button. Now if you are in camera mode and you hit video, first click is going to switch the camera, second click will start the record. Vice versa, you hit photo, it's going to switch to the camera, second click will start it, unless you're already in that setting. Alright, now that we got those out of the way, we're going to start going through the settings of the aircraft. So, top three dots at the top right corner, we're going to click on that. So you have on the right side, it's going to be the categories of the settings. So they kind of correlate to what the setting is going to be. So if you are ever unsure, you can kind of go by that and see. So the top one looks like a drone, so it's going to be our flight settings. So like I said, these are going to be some of the settings that you saw earlier. Like your home point settings, you can enable your flight modes, your return to home, max altitude, distance limiting, sensor statuses, your lost signal actions, and all that good stuff. So that's going to be your flight settings, mainly for drone settings, I guess you could say. Below that, you're going to have this little thing with the line around it. That's going to be your obstacle avoidance settings. So from here, we can change all those settings as well. From your horizontal, upward, and your downward axes, turn them on, off, brake, whatever you're doing at that time. And then this enable vision positioning and your precise landing are going to be very useful for the aircraft. So when it actually takes off, it takes a photo of where it was at, and then when it returns to home, it's going to line itself back up on that photo for that minimal accuracy. And below that is this controller looking icon. This is going to be our remote settings, right? So in here we can go into control stick mode and we can configure the controls how we see fit. I suggest leaving it in mode 2. It is the most common setting. And then you can also change it from left dominant to right dominant as well. Below that you have a controller calibration, so the aircraft has to be off for that, but if you ever need stick calibrations or anything like that, you can do that right from here. Click on it, it'll tell you exactly what to do. Below that's custom RC buttons, so we have all these buttons on the back and on the front, and the 5D button that can be customized. And you can go through, it's going to show you exactly where it is on the controller and then what it actually is set to, and you can change it via all these categories. So if that's something you're interested in, you could do that. Below that we have HD transmission settings. I recommend leaving these all the same. Running off the dual band is preferred. And then at the bottom, video output settings, or video output type, excuse me. So if you are doing any kind of casting, or you're plugging in an HDMI cord, you have duplicate screen or camera view. So duplicate screen is going to be exactly what you see on your controller. You're going to get all that telemetry and all that information exactly on whatever platform you are casting to or plugged into. Camera view will just show you the camera footage of either the camera or the FPV, or you can do both. Below that we have our aircraft batteries. So as you can see, we have the aircraft percentage, our battery percentage, the voltage, and the cycle counts right here. If you want any other further details, you can hit details and you can see the actual health of each cell of the batteries. If we go back, you can see we have a smart return to home. So here, the aircraft will return when remaining battery is only enough for the return to home. So this is if you are X amount of distance away, it knows it needs 5% to get back. It is going to take that 5% and return home. But that will get you to whatever you set your low and your critically low warnings to. So if we are set to 15 and 20, and then we need 5% battery to get home, it'll start that return to home process at 25 to get you back at that 20%. Below that, you have your, like I was just talking about, that customized battery warning. So if we needed 5%, we're set to 10 and 15, it's going to start returning home at 20%. This is something you can override. I don't suggest it unless you know you are close and you are able to get down or home in a safe area. Below that, you have your battery self-discharge. So what this means is if you charge the batteries up, they're going to stay fully charged for a day. After a day, they will follow this graph down here at the bottom and discharge accordingly. This can be set from 1 to 9 days. So if you're flying more often, you might want to set them out a couple more days. If you know you're not going to be flying for a while, you can set them to 1. You can also set the batteries into the battery case and discharge them on the discharge setting. Below that, we have our gimbal settings. The icon looks like a camera. So we can change all this gimbal tilt smoothness and the speed of it. More so if you're on the photography side, you want slower, better, crisper movement, you can do that from right here. If you're ever having anything with the gimbal, you can try a gimbal calibration to see if that fixes it. You can also adjust the gimbal up, left, right, down. So if I click on it, you have your tilt and then your horizontal and your yaw. You can mess with the settings from there. Going back into settings, we'll go to the next one down. This is going to be our positioning system. So our RTK, which RTK are in the back of the aircraft. If you are connected to either an RTK base station or you're on a system like Intrip, you connect to that, you're going to get a more precise level accuracy out of the aircraft. And you can plug in all your information right from here. Moving down, we have 3 dots. So these are going to be just our common settings, stuff that really doesn't have a place. Main features in here that you're going to want to change are your unit settings. So you're going to want to be in miles per hour, meters squared for your surveying, or you can do acre. And then temperature units, you're going to want in Fahrenheit, but you can also do Celsius. I put them together. For your temperature units, you can also do Celsius or Kelvin. And then you can change your GPS format right here as well. Go to minutes and seconds. Other than that, LED settings, you have discrete mode. So if you turn discrete mode on, it will turn off all the lights. If you turn it off, they will come on. Obviously, if we're flying at night, we're going to need those lights to be in compliance with Part 107 operations. From here, you can also turn on your nav beacon light. So this is going to be the bright light on top. So when you are in your nighttime operations, that will flash. And then you have a bottom auxiliary light. That'll turn on when you are taking off or landing, or if you're in the air, you can turn that on to get a little bit of light. So that is going to be most of the common settings to get you flying for your M30T. And if you are a user of the M30T, I hope you learned something. And if you're brand new to it, I hope you learned a lot. So take care. See you guys later.